when you call me or you call someone on our team, we're going to start the file for you. So what we're going to do is we're just going to ask you, what do you want? What do you want in the house? What do you guys want? Do you want a single-family home? Do you want a townhouse? A lot of people, especially in this area, it's kind of cool to. I'm working with a guy now, a local guy. He's buying like a two-family house in Asbury Park. He's going to live on one side. He's going to rent the other side out, and that's going to help. It's going to pay for actually more than half of his mortgage. So once I establish your criteria, we're going to ask you what you're looking for. I'm going to go on the multiple listing system, which is the database where the realtors keep all of our inventory, and I'm going to pull everything that meets your criteria, and I'm going to email it your way. Okay? The old school way of doing real estate, actually when I bought my first house in 2006, this is exactly how it went down, was I went to a realtor, and I was like, hey, I think I want to buy a house. And I went in there. They didn't know anything about me. They talked to me for 5 minutes. They went in the back room. They came out with like 3 listings. I got in their car. They drove me to 3 listings. I came back to the office. They put me in the conference room, and they put a contract in front of me. And they were like, all right, cool. Well, which one do you want? And I was like, I don't know. None of them? I don't know. I don't know, man. This is crazy. So that's like the old school way of doing real estate, okay? And that's only in the last 10 years. Now, we're going to show you all the inventory. There's a lot of realtors out there who will show you certain properties based on commissions, on maybe it's close to their house. Like, and I'm not going out to Manalapan. Like, we go everywhere, okay? We specialize in Middlesex, Monmouth, and Ocean counties. We will go to other areas if we know them, and if we don't, we can usually find an agent in New Jersey that we can refer them to. Like I just referred someone to Jersey City today. I don't go up there, but I know an awesome agent who does go up there. So when you give us all your criteria, I'm going to go into the multiple listing system. I'm going to pull all of the properties that meet your criteria. If it's 150 houses, I'm going to send them to you, okay? I always ask for a number of bedrooms, bathrooms. Do you need to have a garage? Do you have to have a pool? What do you want to do? Do you work on cars? Do you want a detached garage? Is that what you want? And we'll find it for you. We can get very, very specific and pull these things and send them your way. Then after that, you have this list. You go through it. You give me some feedback. Maybe there's 4 or 5 that you want to see. Maybe there's 20 that you want to see. If there's 20 that you want to see, we'd like you to take a couple drive-bys, Go drive-by, do some drive-bys, go through the neighborhoods and see what you like and what you don't like, and we can narrow the list down. From that day on, what we're going to do is we're going to forward you our mobile app, which I just sent you guys. If you open up you guys don't have to do it right now, but if you open up the mobile app, if you've downloaded it, Keller Williams, who's the company that we work for, has provided us with this app. Right here it says, I just opened it up, and you'll see on the top, there's properties scrolling. These are the closest. There's Bond Street, Asbury Park. That's one of our listings. That's Katie's listing. Anyway, wherever you're standing, this is going to show the closest houses. So this is awesome. Like, as you're a realtor, I can, clients will be like, we're looking at a house. I'm like, Joe, how much is that house worth? I'm like, I don't know how much that house is worth. And I open up this app, and it shows me. So this is really, really cool, and you guys can search it. It's the best app I've seen so far. So we send you the app. We sent you the list of houses that meet your criteria. And then from that day on, what we're going to do is we're going to send you every house that hits the market, that meets your criteria, until we find you guys the right house, okay? We don't just send you one list and take you out that day or that weekend or take you out twice and hope to God that we find you something right away. That's not how it works, okay? We are going to show you guys everything. We're going to make sure you're comfortable. We want to find you the right house. So if it takes 6 weeks, if it takes 6 months, if it takes a year, then that's what we're going to do for you guys. The process kind of goes like this, okay? You start looking at houses. That's the easy part, man. Like just driving around, telling jokes, opening up doors, looking at houses. And that's cool. Once you find a house that you really, really, really like, what's the next step? We're going to make an offer. And what we do also is we're going to do what an appraiser would do. We do a market analysis on that house for you. So if you say, if it's that house right there and you love it, and you're like, Joe Oz, Katie Roberts, Louisa Abel, Chuck Manoski, I love that house, I want to make an offer, what's next? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to be like, whoa, hold on. Okay, let me go back, let me do some research. I'm going to go back 6 months, and I'm going to pull all the active under contract and sold homes, plus or minus a bedroom, bathroom within like a half mile. I'm going to pull all the comparable homes. I'm going to make a report for you, complete with a map, average days on market, average price, and I'm going to send this your way. And I'm going to talk to you about it. And I'm going to give you the best advice we possibly can. Here, the realtors in this room and this team, we're not here to sell you guys anything. We provide a service, okay? We have the knowledge, we have the experience, we have the resources, and we have the communication skills to help you make the right decisions. And that's all there is to it. So once you find that house, I mean, listen, there's been times when I've been like, oh man, really, that's the house you like? I don't love that house. Well, why don't you love the house, Joe Oz? Well, I don't know, the liquor store across the street kind of stinks, you know, or like whatever it is, you know, if it's, you know, the thing that popped in my head is like off-site conditions pop into my head, like on Shafto Road in Tinton Falls. I don't know if you guys are local, it kind of stinks in August, okay, because the dump is over there. And these are the things we're going to tell our clients. We're known for talking our clients out of making bad decisions. And, you know, right here in Neptune, I sold a house to a kid 2 years ago for like $150. He just sold it for $215. Like he made that's a really good decision. So you know, that's kind of insane to do in this kind of market. So then we do that market analysis, we make an offer. Our offer's in writing, okay? We write up an offer that is, the paperwork is issued by the New Jersey Association of Realtors, okay? It's a boilerplate. It's the same paperwork you would use if you're working with any realtor, okay? It's not specific to me or to Keller Williams or anything else. We make that offer. To present an offer, we need to have a pre-approval from a mortgage lender. Jesse's gonna talk to you about that, and we just have to have this offer to purchase. Now, once we make our offer, we start negotiating. We are great negotiators. We're very aggressive, very knowledgeable. The negotiations are verbal, so we don't have to like rewrite something every time. People are like, oh God, I gotta sit down with your boss again and sign a million pages. No, we'll do that all verbally. And then if we come to a meeting of the minds, we come up with a price that everyone's happy with, and we can all move forward. Then we rewrite that. We rewrite the first page with the numbers. You sign off on it, and then everyone signs off on it. Buyer, when I say everyone, I mean buyer, seller, both realtors. And then we go into attorney review. Okay. Kim's going to talk a little bit about attorney review. I'm not going to get too much into it. But basically, in New Jersey, a realtor can write an offer to purchase, but we can't make a legal binding contract. And once you're under contract, if there's changes to be made, they have to be done by a real estate attorney. Okay, so that's why we use attorneys. Once you are under contract, immediately we're going to schedule your home inspection. Bill Vizzi is going to come to the house. Bill's awesome. He's our guy. He's the only guy we recommend. Literally, the guy will hold your hand. He'll go in the crawl space. He'll go on the roof. He'll go in the attic. And when you walk away from your home inspection, if you're doing it with Bill Vizzi, you'll know whether you want to buy that house or not. You know, and he'll tell you too, man. You'll be like, well, you know, we just had one. It was like, well, there's a crack in the foundation of the basement. You know, it's bowing. This, and this is what it takes. You know, and then again, we're not trying to sell you guys anything. We're just providing you with the information so you can make the right decision. You know, the house that I live in had mold remediation. It was a crazy short sale, but I knew all these things and I was willing to move forward because I saw value in the home, and that's what you guys will do as well. Bill's awesome because he'll do your home inspection. He wants you there. He will explain everything to you. Like, here's your water shutoff valve. Here's this. Oh, why is that there? How old do you think this water heater is? How old do you think this furnace is? Okay, cool. Is that up to code? Is that a safety issue? These are the questions that my clients ask, and Bill's glad to take the time, walk you through them, and answer them for you. And within 48 hours of your home inspection, he's going to send you a PDF report, a PDF attachment to his email with a report. It's really detailed. Like, so I'm like, man, Bill found everything. Loose toilet bowl seats to whatever. Cracked windows, he's going to find everything. And then that report is going to be emailed to you, to your attorney, and to your realtor. And at that point, by the way, a lot of things I'm talking about that we do, most realtors don't do. Once you sign off on an offer, they're like, peace. They're like, awesome. They're like spending their money already for their commissions. And what we do is we guide you along the entire process. So when the home inspection comes in, we're going to pick up the phone and be like, hey, guys, we just got the home inspection. Joe Oz, or anyone on our team, we looked it over, okay? And this is what I think. Well, I think there's termite damage in the crawl space. I think the seller should take care of that. I think the attic fan's not working. Well, I don't know, man. That's not an expensive fix. Let's have them fix the attic fan. So we guide you through that process, and then we give you suggestions because we've probably seen 400, 500 home inspections. So we know how these things play out, okay? Now, if there's like broken hot water heater and you want a $5,000 credit, it's probably not going to happen. But we might be able to negotiate like a home warranty for you or a smaller credit to pay for maybe half of a hot water heater. And then once we decide what we're going to do, your attorney puts it all in writing, and then it's another negotiation through the attorneys. But we like to be involved, and we like to talk on the outside to the other realtor and see if we can work it out. So once you're through your home inspections and you're going to buy the house, when you write up your offer, people are like, oh my God, I'm buying a house. I see it on Facebook. They're like, we're buying a house. Relax, you didn't do your home inspection. You got to do your appraisal, and you have to get your mortgage. And those are big things. So after you do your home inspection, then you're going to do an appraisal. Okay, your mortgage lender is going to order an appraisal. Okay, the mortgage lender is lending money. It's a bank. Okay, they're in the business to make money and protect their investments. So what they're doing, the reason why they're doing this appraisal is they want to protect their investment. They want to make sure whatever a buyer, a seller, and two realtors thought a house is worth, they want to make sure that that's what it's worth. So they hire a professional licensed appraiser, and that appraiser comes in and appraises the property. You pay for that. That's part of your closing costs. Your appraisal gets done. Then you're pretty much, if all of that is cool, and you get your mortgage, when you go to, like, when you guys want to buy a house and you guys talk to Justin Casey, he's going to get you pre-approved, okay? That's cool. You're going to talk to him. You'd be surprised how many people don't really know their finances. I don't think they're lying. They just don't really understand what it is. But once you give him your 2 years tax returns, maybe 2 months bank statements, he knows better on what he needs to get from you guys. He can get you pre-approved. But then once you find the house, you actually have to apply for your mortgage and you have to be pre-qualified. So you have about a 30-day period to actually apply for your mortgage and get qualified for your mortgage. And once all that's done, you're pretty much buying a house. The seller is responsible for the C of O, okay? Most townships, not all, most townships have a certificate of occupancy and a smoke cert. So they want to make sure that your house is not going to burn down, okay? They don't want the fire company coming at 2 a.m. putting fires out. So they're going to make sure there's smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and fire extinguishers, and then anything else. They want to make sure there's no open permits, and they want to make sure the house is habitable, okay? That's what keeps the values up in a conforming community. Let's see here. Then that's pretty much it. Chuck, do you have anything to add? That's the process.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much explained everything that we do. You know, it's also customary to work with one realtor.
That's true.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. You know, basically, it's customary to work with one realtor. Some people think it's possible to go out and work with multiple realtors, and you have multiple realtors running around trying to find you houses. And next thing you know, you could end up in multiple offer situations. You know, like, yeah, I'm offering with this person, and offering with that person. And you can end up with almost 2 homes sometimes, you know. The other thing we have out there right now are a lot of short sales. You know, short sales and foreclosures are 2 totally different things. A lot of the foreclosures are basically, you know, already bank owned, and they'll move a lot quicker than a short sale. A short sale is basically a home that an agent has listed because the seller owes more than the home's worth. The list price on that home may not be accurate. You know, I just saw a house in Manalapan. They put it on the market at $399. It had 20 people the first day it was on the market. It was very underpriced. You know, obviously a buyer came in, put an offer in on it. The seller's bank is going to then send out an appraiser. This could happen 3 months down the road, 4 months down the road, and their appraiser came back and said, we want $475 for the house based on the comps in this area. So that buyer was like, I'm not coming up $75,000. And so the house is back on the market at that price. You know, so there's a lot of different things that go into a short sale process. I've closed a short sale in 4 months, and we recently just closed one that was a little over a year. You know, they can really vary on the situation. You have, like, you know, approved short sales. Like that house I just talked about, Manalapan, is now approved at $475 by the bank. You know, so if somebody comes in at $475, the process will move a lot quicker because the appraisal is already done by the bank. You know, there's a lot of different situations that go into it. A lot of short sales, you might end up being responsible for putting appliances into the home for your appraisal to pass. You know, when the appraiser comes out, he's going to turn on the stove and all that kind of stuff. Make sure the gas is on. You have to have the water on. There's a lot of different things that go into a short sale. I don't steer people away from short sales, but what I do tell people is, I hope you have some extra money and some time. You know, like if you're looking to move in the next 3 to 5 months, I probably won't recommend pursuing a short sale to you. You know, it's a lot of people, they fall in love with a home, you get wrapped up in it, and 6 months down the road, you're still waiting on an answer. You don't know if you're going to own that home. Anything can change.
And you have to do you have to do your home inspection and all these things. So with a short sale, what you have to do is you have to move forward as if it's a conventional sale. So people say all the time, they're like, oh man, you know, I want a short sale. You know, I want a free house. You know, like, yeah, me too. Or like foreclosures, like, oh, I want a foreclosure in Spring Lake. Yeah, those people are not foreclosing on their houses, by the way. So when you do a short sale, when you make an offer on a short sale, the offer has to be approved by the seller, but the seller has no say in the final sale, okay? The bank is the one, they're upside down, the bank's the one that's taking a loss, and the bank's the one that's losing the money and doing all these things. When you short sell your house, you're not You're not going to pay your realtor fees, you're not going to pay your transfer tax, you're not going to pay an attorney. So you're not really paying anything, but you're losing your house. So if you do and you have to do a home inspection, all these things you have to do, your home inspection, your appraisal, you have to go through attorney review. So you've accumulated probably anywhere from $500 to $1,500 in closing costs already, and you don't know if the bank's going to approve it or not. That's the bottom line here. So we know we've worked, I'm a short sale specialist. About 30% of my business is short sales. So what we can do is we can guide you through the process. If we see a bank that's not approving short sales, we will say to you, like, yeah, we'll put in an offer, but it might be years, and they might have a track record of just not doing short sales. So the bank can say no. That's the bottom line. What Chuck was saying is, short sales are awesome for investors because they don't care. It's not their primary residence. If you're having a baby, or if you have all these life events going on, and you need to be in a house on June 1st. I would definitely not look after buying a short sale. The house I live in was a short sale, and ironically enough, it was the fastest. What happened in like 60 days? We were closed. Everything was smooth. But that never happens. So there's the short sales. Foreclosures. People always ask me about foreclosures. Okay, they're like, Jaws, I need to get a foreclosure. I'm like, okay, cool. If you're looking for your primary residence, okay, the chances of you finding exactly what you're looking for in the exact area you want to live in, and it be an awesome foreclosure I just remembered I parked in the 15-minute zone. As a cop's like right there. So, okay, foreclosures. The chances of you finding the house that you want to live in that's perfect for you and your family in the area you want to be in, and it be a foreclosure, is highly unlikely. Now, the way that foreclosures work, I'll explain it, is there's two different ways foreclosures work. Bank takes the house. Okay. By the way, foreclosures can take up to 2 to 3 years in New Jersey. Okay. So after the 90-day mark, you have a list pendants filed against you. So whatever county you're in, the bank sends it to the county seat. So we're in Monmouth County, we go to Freehold. Ocean County, we go to Toms River. And then basically, there's a court case here, okay? There's a list pendant that's been filed. And the bank just takes their time, man. It's like they're fighting this war and they just don't have an army for it, foreclosures and short sales and all these things. So it could take up to 2 to 3 years. I just went into a house, 7 years, this guy hasn't paid his mortgage. 7 years, he is loving it. He is just chilling. And so I'm like, 7 years? He's like, yes. And some of you just get lost in the shuffle. It sounds crazy, but it's totally true. This guy lives in a gigantic house too, by the way. So anyway, don't pay your bills. So what will happen is, once they foreclose on the house, if they go and they change the locks and everyone gets kicked out and the house gets foreclosed on, it's either two things are going to happen. They're just going to go to Freehold has auctions. They have auctions, so you can go there and you can bid on a house. And people are like, oh my God, Joe Oz, I'm going to go there. I don't need a realtor. And I'm like, all right, cool, that's awesome. I've been to these things, man. The banks aren't stupid. The banks are the banks, okay? And they have people that sit at these auctions and they know what the house is worth. They bid it up. They bid it up or they buy it back. And then at that point, they give it to a realtor. Like we work with a few different banks and they just call us up if they say, hey, Joe Oz, I had a call from, I forget what bank, but they called me the other day like, hey, we have something in Ocean Township. Will you take it? Absolutely. So we go over there, we take it, we put it on the market, and then we're going to put it on the market for market value. A tactic that a lot of banks are using is, the banks have so many of these and they really want to limit the amount of time that they're spending on their foreclosure sales. So what they're doing is I see this a lot, is it's frustrating, man. It's not frustrating if you're the listing agent. If you're working with the buyers, it is frustrating. What will happen is they'll say, hey, the bank will say, hey, Joe, what is this house worth? I'll say, this house is worth $500,000. They'll say, all right, cool. List it 10% below what you think it's worth. I'm like, first time it's happened, I was like, what? I was like, we should buy this. List it 10% of whatever you think it's worth. Let it sit for 30 days. We're not looking at any offers. Put them all into a folder, and then on the 30th day, deliver the folder to us with all the offers, and we will choose one. And they wind up getting over what I think it's worth, because it creates a bidding war kind of thing. And everyone, they call me up. They're like, how many offers? I'm like, I don't know, 30. They're like, oh, and everyone comes in with their best offer. So that's it. So really, my clients, in my experience in the last 8 years, over 500 houses sold. In my experience, the people out there, the best deals are found on conventional sales. Just a nice person that wants to sell their house. They're downsizing, they're moving to Florida, they're going wherever, they're moving because of employment. Whatever it is, man, you find the right house, and don't go crazy trying to get an awesome deal. Because guess what? In this market, you're protected. You have to have an appraisal, and if your house under appraises, the deal's dead. Okay? So if you're buying a house for $300,000, the appraisal comes in at $280,000, it's dead. We're dead in the water here. Okay, Jesse or any other mortgage company, they're not going to lend on it. Because they're saying, wait, whoa. If you can imagine, the bank's like, wait a minute, all right, my appraiser says it's worth $280,000. You guys, you think it's worth $300,000. So the bank will only lend on the appraised value or the purchase price, whatever's lower. okay? So you guys, point is this, you're protected from overpaying on a house, okay? You can't, it's just you guys are protected. In the height of the market, you know, the predatory lending, things like that, you weren't, so you are. And I always just, my advice is just get out there and buying a house, if it's your house that you're gonna live in, it's like an emotional thing, man. And you know when you walk in, it's like an awesome feeling. You're like, oh my God. The house that I live in, I was showing to one of my buddies who was a client of mine, and I was like, you know, I was showing a house like this on my phone, you know. Paul, you all right? All right, cool. And then I put my phone down, I looked around, and I was like, wow, this house is awesome. And I said to my buddy Paul, I was like, hey, I wasn't even in the market. I just sold a house, and we were renting, actually here in Asbury, and for like a year, me and my wife. And I was like, hey, are you gonna buy this house? And he's like, no. I was like, I think I'm going to. And I told myself not to get excited. It's all business. Oh man, I drove past the thing every day. I fell in love with it. Like when the mold issue came up, I was like, I don't care, I still want it. You know, you'd be surprised. And I tried to like, I don't know, be a shark and get a deal. And I just love the house that I live in. And it's awesome. It's cool to have a place of your own. No one can tell you to get out unless you don't pay your mortgage. And still, you maybe live there for 7 more years even if you don't pay your mortgage. Just buy a house, man, who cares? All right, I'm gonna stop. I'll be around until everyone leaves. Jesse Casey, who's our preferred mortgage lender, he's awesome. He's gonna talk a little bit about what he does.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Jesse Patrick Casey. I work for Atlantis Mortgage. I've been doing this for 18 years. We're mortgage bankers. We are not brokers, so it enables us to do a little bit more creative financing at certain times. Buying a home is a very exciting thing, as Joe said. It's emotional. But I'll tell you this right off the bat, it's stressful. And you gotta just know that going into it. This is one of the 4 most stressful things we do as human beings. Buying a home and moving our families and moving ourselves into that home. Going through the whole process, as Joe said, there's a lot of twists and turns that are involved in buying a home. And that's what we're here for, is to guide you through that process, answer all your questions, and to make sure you understand everything that basically you're signing up for. It's the biggest purchase you'll make in your whole life. Talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what we do, typically you'll say, okay, I want to buy a house. Talk to Joe or Chuck or Katie or Louisa, and they're going to refer you to me, or you can talk to whatever lender you choose. But what we do is we take your information, we talk to you about, first of all, your credit. Credit and income are the 2 most important things that we look at. House value is the 3rd, but that comes later in the process, as Joe said. That's what the appraisal's for. So your credit, I've had more people come up to me and say, boy, I'd love to buy a house, but my credit's bad. 9 times out of 10, I say, let me take a look at that credit, and I look at it, and those people end up buying houses. So what we specialize in is looking at those, finding ways to possibly help them with their credit scores. Sometimes it's a long process. Sometimes it's 6 months, a year, but then eventually those people are buying houses because we take them through the whole process so that they're able to get what they're looking for, which is buying a home. So your credit is one thing. Don't listen to Joe. Pay your bills. Very important. Once you buy the house, if you want to not pay your bills, that's fine. As long as I'm not holding the note, we don't care. That and your income. And again, as Joe said, some people they get lost in it. They don't realize what they actually made. If you're self-employed, figuring out and calculating what you're qualified for, it's a tricky thing. That's what we're here for. We're going to ask you for a little bit of documentation up front. We're going to ask you for your permission to take a look at your credit. And once we do those things, we'll get back to you within that very day as to what you're qualified for price-wise. We're going to come at you with a few different loan programs as well. Everybody thinks, oh, the standard loan is the 30-year fixed, which is true. But there's a lot of variations on it. There's hundreds of variations on the different loan products that are out there. We're going to take you each case by case, each individually, look at it and say, okay, here's 3 different options for you. That's usually what I try and present, at least 3 options. Usually the one with the lowest payment, that's what's going to jump off the page and that's what you're going to go with. Obviously, we're going to make recommendations. We're going to talk to you a little bit more about, it's not just numbers. Where do you want to be in 5 years? What is your, what's your family plan? What are you looking for as far as are you going to have kids, things like that. Believe it or not, these things all come into play when it comes into buying a home. So if we get those questions out on the table and answered ahead of time, when you go into buying a home, you'll make the right decision. As Joe said, you're buying the right one that's for you. And we're going to put you in the right mortgage product that makes sense for you. We're available 24/7. If you need any questions answered at any part of the process, text, email, cell phone, whatever it is, you can get us on the phone. Bob Vallone is with me here. He's one of the principals of our company. It's him right over there. If you have any questions about the whole process after, please come up and speak to one of us and we'll get your information and speak to you further from The mortgage process, like we said, Joe said, you get qualified for the loan, then you get your offer in, and after that, you actually apply for the loan. Once you get qualified with us, you're gonna go out and look for a home. You're gonna know you're buying that home. There's no questions. I've had borrowers that have come to me where another lender said to them, yeah, you're fine, go buy that house. And then when they actually put their offer and got it accepted, turns out they're not qualified. That is not gonna happen with us. We ask a few more questions in the beginning, but it's for just that reason. Because we want to avoid that disappointment that you have. Like Joe said, get that emotional attachment to the house. You see it, you want it. Somebody tells you that you're going to be able to get it, you want to know that that's true. With us, again, we ask for that documentation, but that's just the reason why. You don't want to go into the bidding process on a home without knowing for sure that you're qualified for the house. Second thing, and just as important, it's not always what you're qualified for, it's what you're comfortable paying. I've had borrowers, I've looked at their information, said, you're qualified up to, $500,000, $600,000. Then they look at the payments, which is very important to go through with ahead of time, and they say, I'm not comfortable with that payment. The one thing I will tell each and every one of you, if I speak to you in the future, but I'll tell it all to you again tonight, you don't want to go to bed at night, put your head on the pillow, and be worried about your mortgage payment. That is what happened to so many people before this mortgage crash. And that's why we have so many of those foreclosures and short sales going on. A lot of people got in over their heads because of predatory lending. People taking advantage of their desire to get a home without looking as to whether they could actually afford to make those payments and be comfortable doing it. Again, there's qualifying ratios that we look at, how much of your income should go towards your housing payment plus all of your other debt. But beyond that, we look at gross numbers. There's other things you have to do. There's life, there's taking your wife out to dinner once in a while, getting that toy for your kid, whatever it is. We want to make sure that when you get into that home, you're not going to be stressed out about your mortgage payment. We're a referral-only lender. We do very little advertising, so our clients that come to us, we're looking at you as a client for life, not just a one-off. When you're done with the process, we're hoping that you'll be so happy with the product and the service that we provide. Anybody mentions the word mortgage, you're going to say Atlantis Mortgage, Jesse, Bobby, they did a great job for them. So that's how we treat our clients. That's what we're looking to do for you. Joe pretty much covered what we do, so, and the rest of the home buying process. I really don't have much more to say unless you want to talk specific mortgage products. There's a lot of products out there. I'll touch on it very briefly. There's products that allow you to get into a home and do renovations on it. They'll give you money to renovate that home. Get in and fix it. Homes that are in a little bit of state of disrepair, get in there, they'll give you money to go in and fix that house. There's 0% down products. There's USDA loans, which allow for no money down. USDA is typically a rural type loan. There are those loans here in New Jersey. There's areas, I mean, we don't decide where they are, but there's websites. We can show you where to look. We'll send you the information. Jackson, Fort Hood River, my clients recently buy there, and they're putting no money down. They're getting a fantastic rate, one of the lowest rates in the market, and no money down. There's also a lot of products with as little as 3% down, 3.5%. You can obviously put more down if you wish, but there's a lot of different products out there. So when we meet with you individually, we'll look at your overall scenario and show you different options, higher down payment options, lower down payment options, and then whatever works for you, that's what we're there to help you accomplish your dream of owning a home. The next part of the process of buying a home typically deals with the attorney. So I'm going to turn
to Jesse, you went over how important it is to be pre-approved, right? We just had clients that we were taking out for what doesn't matter. We'll take you guys out for a year. We'll take people out for 6 months all over Monmouth County, and they found the house. The emotional factor kicked in, and they found it. And they had been pre-approved through their credit union. And the gentleman was going through a credit union, and this was the house. And we didn't even get into this, but the market's a little crazy right now because it's very low inventory. It's a very competitive buyer market right now. And this house, we needed to jump on it. We needed to be full price. And we went in there, and he wasn't pre-approved. He just thought he was. Someone just gave him a piece of paper saying he wasn't. So he couldn't move forward, and they lost. They're still talking about it. They lost the house of their dreams, and they just weren't pre-approved. They were not pre-approved. So that's really important. So sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. I happened to talk to that client just before they went and fell in love with that house, and they said, no, I'm good through my credit union. Sure enough, the deal came back to me eventually because they weren't pre-approved. We had a little bit of work we needed to do.
Judah, by the way, Judah's credit was really bad. Really bad.
One of the worst we've seen.
And Jesse fixed it within 6 weeks. He had them sorted out, and that's a service that he provides for free, which is awesome. And it's just it's a great thing. Like, so if there's something that needs to happen or something needs to be tweaked, he can do it. If it's like, hey man, if you have good credit, but if it's like 20 points higher, it's gonna get you a better interest rate, like why not start preparing right now? Like that's what you should do. I remember I went to go, I sold a house and then I moved and then I rented. I sold the first house I lived, then I rented. I was like, I'm gonna chill out for a minute. And then I went to go buy my next house and I called my lender and I was like, hey, I need a pre-approval for $400,000. And my lender was like, all right, cool, send me your tax returns. And I was like, come on, dude. He's like, send me your tax returns. And I sent him over, and he looked at them. He's like, wow, you wrote everything off last year. You didn't make any money. I'm like, I did okay. He's like, well, you can't get a pre-approval, and I couldn't buy a house. And then he told me exactly what I needed to do to get myself in place to buy a house. And it took me like a little while to get to buy a house in that price range I wanted to be in. So it's very, 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 very important. That's the first step, and that's it. So I think, Jesse, thank you very much.
Well, I was gonna
Anything else?
just touch on what you're saying there. I think you missed the part where I said, yes, there's borrowers that I've worked with where it's literally been years, a year, 2 years, where taking them through the process, getting them where they need to go, showing them how to maybe claim a little more income. People that are self-employed, that's a specialization that we do. A lot of times people don't want to look at that. You go to like a Wells Fargo or a Chase, they're going to go, oh, you don't show enough income, the end. I have a good friend of mine, I was talking to him one night, he happened to be a bartender, and I said, he was telling me he wanted to buy a house. Went into a lender and they said, you're a bartender, get out of here. I said, oh, send me your information. So I looked at it, and yeah, he's a bartender, but his wife's a school teacher. She makes X amount of dollars a year. The guy threw him out of his office without even bothering to look. And we needed to like do a little bit of creative things with looking at his bartending income. Took him an extra few months to find the right house and to get the numbers where they needed to be, but that's what we do. It's a little bit of attention to detail that I think has gotten lost in our industry. You just see advertisements, what's the lowest rate? Rate is a very important part of the process of buying a home. Obviously it affects your payment, but it's not the be-all and end-all. It's finding a way to afford the home that you're looking for. And there's so many different types of programs to avoid mortgage insurance if you're putting less than 20% down, that we can show you how to do that. Before I turn it over to Kim, actually, I'm going to ask Bobby to come up, see if he has anything he wants to add to this, and then I'm going to finish up and show it over to Kim in a moment.
I just wanted to, Jesse kind of summed it up. It's our family business, my family. We've been together for a long time now. He hit the nail on the head, especially for first-time buyers. I'm assuming all of you are first-time buyers. Like you said, you may qualify for something based on your debt-to-income ratio. What I do with my first-time buyers is I sit them down, their tax returns or pay stubs, and I say, this is what you take home. Now let's do a budget. Because you may love this house, and on paper you may be pre-qualified for it, and even pre-approved, but you have to make that payment every month. And again, do you want to be eating ramen for the next 6 months or the first year? No, you want to have a life. And if you're planning on having children, or any situation, you have to think about that. Like Jess said, there's a lot of different programs out there, 0% down, buy it and fix it up. We have everything that you could possibly think of. And as he did say, one of the programs is called a USDA loan, 0 down. All you do is plug in the address. If it's in the USDA zone, you can qualify for it. If it's not, you can't. It's black and white. So again, we look forward to working with you. Any questions, anytime. I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen incredible amounts of things. I've seen the real estate market go up, go down. It's now is a good time to get in. The rates are low, the property values are going up, and the time is now. The time is now. So if you're not going to do a cash transaction, please contact us. We'll get you pre-qual, pre-approved, and go buy a home. Okay? Thank you so much for your time.
Just to finish on what Bobby said there, yes, the time is now. You are literally hitting the market at an anomalous time. Typically when rates are as low as they are, home prices are up. Right now the home prices, while they are getting a little bit higher, they're not at the heights they typically are when the rates are this low. So to buy a home right now, it is literally the best time to buy. Home prices are increasing slowly, but this spring, as things get crazy, Joe will touch on this probably later, but the market's a little crazy right now. People are falling in love with homes. They're taking a week to think about it. That house is gone. It's sold because there's a lot of people looking. dealing with the right professionals when it comes to this, to guide you through the process, and you know you're gonna get good service is very, very important. We had a client that just lost a home. She wanted to use her family friend attorney, who was like a divorce attorney. And I just said, listen, if I was gonna get divorced, I wouldn't use a real estate attorney. So why use a divorce attorney? Waited a few weeks, a few extra days to get an attorney review letter out. Another offer came in, house is gone. You don't wanna see that happen to you. That's where we like to deal with real estate professionals. Kim's one of them. She's an excellent real estate attorney. So I'm gonna turn it over to her right now, and she'll tell you a little bit about what she does in the full process.
Hey guys, Kim Flotteron. I have offices in Middlesex and Monmouth, and we do only real estate. Like Jesse said, pay attention to your realtor's recommendations. They're not recommending people because they're getting anything from it. It's because they're in the industry and they know who's good. They know who the good real estate attorney is. They know who the good lender is. And like you said, if you go to someone that's not in real estate, it'll take 3 days to get out of review, or you won't be able to get them on the phone because they're in court, and that's not what you want when you're buying the house. So that's just a little side note. So when you get to me at this point, you've already dealt with your realtor, you've already dealt with your lender, you're working with all those parties, and now at the end, you're ready to sign this contract, and they say, well, who's your attorney? And they put a contract in front of you, and a lot of people are now nervous because it's probably, maybe sometimes in people's life, the first contract they're going to sign. The contracts in New Jersey, they're standard contracts. So the broker prepared contracts, they're all the same contracts. The only thing that changes is your closing date, your mortgage amount, inspection timeframes. So it's okay to sign it when they put it in front of you because it can change. So it's not binding. As soon as you get that to an attorney, what we're going to do is get it out of attorney review. So you're gonna keep hearing that. You have to get this to your attorney to get attorney review moving. So once you sign that contract, you have 3 days to get it to an attorney. You're gonna get it to them that day. And that attorney then has 3 days to get the letter out. What the letter does, that's the attorney review process. It changes the terms of the contract. So we put protections in there more than that's in the contract. We'll change the inspection language. We'll change, we'll discuss any contingencies you may have if you're selling a home and it needs to be contingent on that. Sometimes the realtors may not include that in the contract. So we go over all that with you. That stops the process now. At that point, the contract you just signed is not binding anymore. The seller can get out of it or the buyer can walk away until you're finished with attorney review. So what will happen then is the seller's attorney will send us a letter, we'll go over it with you, and then if all the changes are acceptable, we sign off on attorney review. Then you're out, and now you're under contract. So it's okay to sign that contract because it will change. That's the main point of that. Once you're out of attorney review, you're gonna do your inspections. So you'll do whatever inspections that your realtor suggests you do, follow their recommendations. What we do from then is we'll review the report with you, knowing that, just keeping in mind that home sales are as is, so what you see is what you get. If you walk in and the carpet doesn't look so great, that's how you're buying it. If there's anything majorly wrong with the home, structural damage, any system defects, that's stuff we can negotiate a repair or a credit for, but it has to be major, and sellers aren't obligated to really do anything. So that phase, when we're negotiating inspections, I call it the poker game, it's really just a negotiation. Who's gonna win, what the sellers are willing to do. Sometimes you'll get sellers that just don't want to do anything. So it's really up to you of what you're willing to move forward with, keeping in mind that every house is gonna have issues. Once we're done with inspections, and at that point, you really, if there's anything majorly wrong and you wanna step away, we can get you out of the deal. But every home is gonna have problems, so just keep that in mind. Your cost, what are your costs gonna be? So your main costs are actually gonna come from the lender. He'll give you what's called a good faith estimate, probably when you first go in, and that'll detail all your major closing costs. You wanna get a survey on the property. Some lenders, whoever you work with, may not require a survey. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't get one. You definitely should get one. And if a realtor tells you you shouldn't get one, you should speak to your attorney. What a survey is it details the property boundary lines. It lets you know if there's any easements. You could have, we had a client one time where there was an in-ground pool and there was an easement going through a property. What's an easement? A utility company has access to it underground. So if they ever needed to get to it, that in-ground pool would need to come up. You wouldn't know that unless you had a survey done. So the banks don't require it, and a lot of my clients say, well, my bank doesn't need it. But it's still really, it's about $650 to $700, and it's expense not to miss out on. Definitely get a survey. We order title. What's title? Title ensures that you're getting clean title to the property. You want to make sure whoever you're buying from actually owns it. You want to make sure that they don't have any liens or judgments against them, because if you have a lien or judgment with a credit card company and they file a judgment against you now, that lien is actually, if they file it, it becomes a lien on the property. So you want to make sure if that seller's selling the property, that that lien doesn't attach to you. So your attorney's going to review title, they're going to clear title, and that's something that they order. It's a separate cost, but we order it, we review it, and the lender requires it also. What else? So you have your survey, your lender costs, attorney's fees. I mean, typically in the area, they should charge from $900 to $1,200. There's some attorneys that charge $500, but you're really going to pay for, you pay for what you get. I mean, the attorneys that I've seen do that, you really just get a terrible job. So, and it's really, definitely have an attorney. Some people say, I don't want an attorney, I don't need one. It's actually the most small cost you're going to have with the home buying, from the lenders, the title, everything you make, and it's one of the most important things to have.
You're nuts if you don't want to use an attorney.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to work with you.
Yeah. So, and so what else? What else a lot of clients ask? Closing dates. So when you sign the contract, a lot of people will actually, I have really clients that are really in on, they'll book all their movers beforehand and everything's done, but that's an estimated date. So don't do anything yet until you know you're getting a clear to close from your lender. So the process with your lender is going to be, they're going to give you a pre-qual, and then you're going to get a commitment. Okay, the commitment is going to give you some more conditions of what you need to get to them. We're getting closer to the end at that point. We're still not ready to set the closing date. We need an official clear to close, okay? So don't schedule your movers, don't do anything. I have to tell you how many times in the summer my clients have scheduled movers, have had their house ready, called me on the closing date and said, okay, I'm ready to move out. But we didn't schedule a closing. So that contract close date's estimated, keep that in mind. Especially if you're buying in the summer and everybody's booked up, movers, just call your attorney, don't schedule anything. Any questions that you guys have? No?
I would touch on something. It's very important. A lot of people, this happens every week, is find a house, we have a deal, I say, all right, cool, we gotta go on an attorney review. Do you have a real estate attorney? Or would you like me to just forward all the paperwork to my preferred real estate attorney? And everyone's like, oh, let me talk to my friend, let me talk to this person, that person. Oh, we know it, we have a family friend, we have an attorney, blah, blah, blah. They're probably not a real estate attorney. I think you touched on that a little bit, right? So if they're not a real estate attorney, I think what Kim just said is it's one of the lowest fees there are, right? Like $900, $1,200, that's just the way it is, okay? So if you go to a divorce attorney or a criminal attorney, where they're getting paid $500 an hour or these things, guess whose deal is gonna be put on the back burner? Yours is. And maybe they have to run to court, and they're just not around when you need them. And that's it, that's really
Yeah,
important.
just I would just follow your realtor's recommendations. They're recommending because they're in the industry. They know who's good. Go to someone, and if you're not going to use who your realtor recommends for any of its reasons, ask them if they do real estate only. We only do real estate. So we're in the office. We're not at court. We're able to get that letter out, especially when there's low inventory and we need to get letters out immediately and get out of attorney review so you get the house. You want your attorney to be there. We may be at a closing or so, but we're always back in and out of the office, and that's what we're set up to do. So don't go to the family friend, don't go to your uncle that just, does this, or your cousin that just graduated, because you'll lose the house. And I've had so many clients that use family friends, and they lose the house just because the office isn't set up. Not that the attorney can't do it, but they're just not set up for real estate. And it's so important. Especially, there's double offers on everything these days, especially we're going into spring market. So definitely use an attorney. Ask them if that's what they do only. That's really it. Yeah.
Did you say the title is mandatory to get, or that's an option that you can?
Well, it's definitely mandatory. Your lender's going to require it, and I've had cash buyers where say, oh, I don't want title insurance. I won't even take their deal if they won't get title insurance. Meaning, how could you buy something not knowing if who is selling it to you really owns it, or if there's no liens, or if there's either title tells you everything you need to know about that property.
Someone
You
didn't
have
credit
to
their
get
credit
it.
card bill or something, they could
Right.
have a
Everything.
lien on the property, and then you would inherit that.
fired a client because he was so crazy. He was doing a cash deal, the lender didn't require it, and he didn't want to get title insurance. I don't know who took the deal, I don't know what attorney would.
Awesome, thanks,
No,
Kim.
all right, thanks.
All right, cool. Finally, we're gonna have Bill Vizzi, our home inspector. Probably one of the awesomest dudes I know.
Hi, everyone. My name's Bill Vizzi. I'm the owner of Accredited Home Inspection. So up until now, everybody's been talking about the dreaded home inspection. What we do is when you get to that point when you're ready to have your home inspection done, we come in and we do a full evaluation of your home. What we're going to check is the structure, of course. We're going to check the roof, plumbing, electrical, heating and cooling. We're basically going to go through the entire house, basements, crawl spaces, attics, all interior spaces, and then we're going to check built-in appliances. About the only thing that we don't check is the washing machine and the clothes dryer, okay? If you've never been through a home inspection, I'll tell you basically the do's and don'ts. You should be at your home inspection. Generally speaking, they last about 2 to 2.5 hours. And what I like to do is have the client work with me side by side. As I find issues, we talk about them, we take photographs, we put the photographs into the report so that not only you have a clear understanding about what the issues are, your realtor, the attorney, everybody can see what the issue is. So we're going to write it up in a report, we're going to have a photograph, we're going to have a line item explaining exactly what it is, how to fix it, and who should fix it. One of the don'ts is don't watch any HGTV shows like Homes on Homes. People come to me and they were like, oh my God, Bill, I watched the show last night and they had water in the basement and they had to excavate all around the house and it cost $160,000. It's all Hollywood, okay? They're making TV shows and they're not really inspecting houses. It's not the real world. So I would say that 9 out of 10 houses go relatively smooth. We're always going to find issues. But we're there to not only find any major issues, but also supply you with a punch list of things that have to be addressed. Because in the real world, all the things that we find are not going to be adjusted or repaired prior to closing. Okay? You typically, when you get done with your home inspection, then you're going to get your report within 24 hours. So the next day you have your report, your realtor's going to have it, your attorney's going to have it, everybody's going to review it, and then you're going to talk about what the key issues are. I like to, at the end of the inspection, talk with you and the realtor and say, okay, we have probably 30 or 40 items, which is about the norm. Let's talk about what the key issues are for you. Because some people may feel the key issue is if we find termite activity or termite damage. And other people may feel that, well, you know what, the appliances are old or the furnace or the water heater is old, that's a key issue. So we kind of like talk at the end of the inspection, determine what the key issues are, and then you have a good starting point as to what you want to ask your sellers to fix, repair, replace, or even give you a credit for. Another thing that's very beneficial today is if you have older appliances, a lot of times you can get a home warranty. So what you say, we go in, we find that you have a boiler or a furnace that's 25, 30 years old, and I'm going to advise you that it's beyond its service life. The manufacturer may say, we designed this to last 20 years and it's now 30 years old. So it's very popular today to get a home warranty, which will cover you as the homeowner in case the unit fails. All right, so that's something that's very popular today that we talk about at the time of the inspection. The other thing that we do is wood destroying insect termite evaluations. We check for termites, carpenter ants, carpenter bees, and wood borers. Now they're very popular. Typically, if you're buying a house that's 20, 30, 40 years old, it probably has already had a termite treatment. If it hasn't, you may get activity in the near future. It's just termites are subterranean, they're in the soil, and if your neighbor's house had termites and they got treated, the colony's underground, they're going to move to the next location to find a source of food, which is your wood. Okay, so we look for that, and we will supply you with a certificate that you would give to your lender, because the bank or the lender wants to have a clean certificate before they lend you the money that your house is free from any wood destroying insects. Another service that we provide is radon testing. So in certain areas of the state, radon is a problem at elevated levels. So we do radon testing in homes, specifically if you have basements. Okay, and that's a service that can be added on, whether you do it in advance or at the time of the inspection. A typical home inspection costs around $500. And then it goes up from there incrementally based on the size of the house. But that'll usually cover you to about 2,400 square feet. Okay? So now we also do mold testing, but I will tell you there's a lot of hysteria about mold. I do mold evaluations and mold testings for people, and on a day-to-day basis, it's very limited. It's not something that I see commonly. We probably, maybe about 4 or 5% of our business is geared towards mold, and it's something that, you know, it's in our environment, but it's, you know, something we look for during the inspection, but generally don't need to do physical testing of any areas unless, you know, we see evidence of it. Okay? So does anybody have any questions about the home inspection or the process? Okay. Yes?
After the home inspection, what if something wrong turns up after that? Like what's the restitution thereof?
Okay, so let's just say we come in and we do your home inspection, and you move into the house, and 6 months later, you have a roof leak. You know, if it was something that the home inspector missed, then you would have, you know, a claim against the company. So let's just say it was our company. You call us up, and we come out and we investigate it. Okay, if it was something that was, you know, something that we missed during the inspection, there's a couple of avenues you can take. You can have us fix it. You could contact the insurance company and have the insurance company fix it. I'll be honest with you, I have never had that happen to me, where, you know, we missed something and it was neglect. But we do carry insurance for that. It's called errors and omissions insurance. The state of New Jersey requires that every home inspector in the state have $500,000 of errors and omissions insurance. We cover $1 million. And the reason we cover $1 million is because a lot of homes that we inspect today are worth at least $750,000, $800,000, or even $1 million. So we're covered for that. We're also bonded for $10,000. So if we go into a house and, you know, while we're opening a window, we knock over, you know, a precious heirloom, we're covered for $10,000 for that as well. And then we also have $1 million general liability in addition to workman's comp. So to answer your question, we have $1 million errors and omissions insurance, we're bonded, and general liability. So in the event that there's any neglect, that would cover it. Okay?
Awesome. Thanks, Bill.
All right, thank you.
So another thing I'd like to touch on, and we'll wrap this up, is I talked about your appraisal, how you guys are protected from overpaying for a house, which is pretty awesome. You're also protected in your offer to purchase that we write up in the paperwork. You can back out of the house. You do your home inspection and you're not psyched on what came back, you can bail, so if there's termites, let's just say, we can say to the seller, like, hey, we want you to fix that. If they say no, then we can just go find another house. You know, so these things are negotiable. It becomes another negotiation. Credits, repairs, these things, they can happen as well if you're not happy with what you found in the home inspection. I think that's pretty much it, guys. We're here. Yes.
The inspections come after the attorney review?
Correct. Like as soon as you're out of attorney review, I'm going to say, hey, let's order our home inspection right away, because we don't want to waste any time. If you're not going to move forward, there's something wrong with that house, we probably want to just end that and then get back out there and try and find something else. Any other questions?
Yeah. Just see, like, let's say you have a crack in the foundation or something like that. Did you say before that the lender, they could pull out unless it's addressed, fixed by either
That could happen,
the
yeah.
seller or the buyer, and that's something you would negotiate?
We had that happen on one of our inspections. We went all the way through the house. The buyer was actually a friend of mine. We went into the garage. There was a crack going up the whole foundation of the wall. And my buyer was not comfortable with them saying, okay, we're going to have somebody just come out and assess it and remediate it. You know, that's a major issue. Plus, we didn't know if there were other ones possibly around the house in the foundation behind walls we couldn't see. So yeah, you can back out if there's a major issue that cannot be remediated.
But I'm saying the lender.
Some lenders may require it, so it depends on what kind of loan you're applying for. So there's a loan called an FHA loan, okay? It's the Federal Housing Administration. It's a very popular loan, especially with first-time home buyers, because it's the least amount of money that you have to put down. It's 3.5%. Jesse talked about VA loans. If you're a veteran, you can do 0% down, and you can do 0% down. And also there's what else is 0% down? USDA. So if you go into like a rural neighborhood like Manchester, like Jackson, certain parts of Howell, in these rural areas, you can do 100% financing. So The ones with the low amount of money down, like our FHA loans and our VA loans and these types of loans, the bank's pretty much taking all the risk here. So what they do is they send out a special appraiser to come and look at the house. And then at that case, they can say, hey, this house is not cool. You know, we're not lending on this. And that can absolutely happen. If you're doing a conventional loan, that may or may not happen. So you're doing conventional, maybe you're putting 10% down or 20% down or something like that. That might slip through. But you're still going to do your home inspection, and you're still going to have your home inspection report, and then you have a 14-day period after attorney review to do your inspections. So this means if you want to do the wood destroying insect inspection that he was talking about, what Bill's going to do is he's going to do a full structural, he's going to do wood destroying insect, and he'll do a radon for you if you'd like. Now, like, is there, you know, if you see an emergency oil shutoff switch, that means at one point there probably was an oil tank. So do you want to do an oil tank sweep? Okay, we do an oil tank sweep. If there's a tank, then what do? We'll probably do a soil boring test, make sure there's no oil in the ground. You know, there's all these things that we can do. You can do lead-based paint inspections. We can do all these things, but you have those 14 days. And then when all the reports come back, it's up to you. You know, you can move forward or you cannot move forward. And we can also, through our attorney, we can request repairs or credits. And something crazy like that foundation, that happens, especially in these old, like, especially around here, you know, we have like 100-year-old houses all around us. So like if you go in the basements and the foundations, things like this, if this came up, my advice, and this is what we normally do, is say, hey, we got to get like 3 contractors. And I do have contractors that are local that'll come out and do free estimates for you, and that's pretty much it. Then we have, because if there's an issue with the house and we go to the homeowner, we got to know what we're talking about. You know, we want to have done our due diligence. So at that point, I'm going to say, well, we got 3 estimates. It's going to cost 20 grand to fix this. My guy, you know, that's not something you see with the naked eye. You know, you want to buy a house, and that's cool, but you know, if there's these major issues that need to be done, they need to be negotiated, or we can just back out. Does that answer your question? Awesome.
Just to say, that home inspection, that's for you. Like, we don't look at the home inspections that Bill does. That's for you to negotiate with the seller, to give to your attorney to make sure you're comfortable with the house. Our appraiser's totally separate, it's not as in-depth.
That's a separate thing.
Correct, it's totally separate. The appraisal is to determine the value.
FHA is different though, right? Like,
FHA is a little more in-depth, like they want
Right.
to make sure that the house, you know, is there, that there's no major issues. It's a government-backed loan, so.
I had FHA appraisers decline a deal because a piece of like siding was missing.
Usually what they'll do is they'll just ask for it to be repaired.
Right.
They're not gonna flat out say, that's it, you can't buy this house. They'll
Like
say,
shingles missing,
there's
paint
shingles missing,
chipping.
yes, you can still buy this house, it just needs to be
Yeah.
repaired ahead of time.
But
You
that's
go to
where you
your,
negotiate with the.
you go to your
seller,
attorney and say,
seller
hey, look, we need to get this done.
And that's when we have the upper hand,
Seller,
put it on the seller.
They negotiate.
Because if the seller doesn't remediate that, guess what? It's going to happen to the next buyer, and the
Correct.
next buyer, and the next buyer. Any other questions? Yes.
That guy that you guys were talking about before that fell in love with the house and then wound up not getting it, why did he think that he was pre-qualified for X amount of dollars but wasn't?
Good question. A lot
Somebody
of
lied to him, honestly.
Yeah, what happens is this, if you pick up the phone and
I
you
mean,
call,
I don't know how else to put it. They said, yeah, you're good to go. He didn't look at his documents.
Okay.
When he actually looked at it, it was like, no, you're not.
it kind of stinks. Like if you call Wells Fargo, Bank of America, like the big banks, there's just somebody sitting there, and if you tell them some information, they hand it out like candy, like, hey, here's your pre-approval, and you have it, and you think you can go out and buy a house. And what Jesse does is he actually asks you for your 2 years tax returns, last 2 months bank statements, your last 2 pay stubs. What, like he said, like, what does your spouse do? All right, you know, we're almost there. Do you have a co-signer? Do you have a parent or a friend that would like to get involved? And you're actually, Jesse does this pretty awesome. You're pre-qualified. You're not just pre-approved. You're pre-qualified once you started working with him. He'll start running your file immediately. But it happens all the time, especially with the big banks like the Wells Fargos, the Bank of Americas, the Chases, because it's just some, and I hate to say it this way, but like some like hourly paid person, just like their job is just send these things out.
If I can interject, those are,
Yeah,
you get
totally.
on the phone with somebody there, they're getting paid $50 or $100 just to take your name, and that's it. And you made their day.
Right.
They took your application and they put it in. You're never going to talk to that person again. It's going to go through a big cycle. With us, you deal with us from start to finish.
And those lenders,
So-
you're going to call, they're going to give you a 1-800 number. So when you call them, you're going to talk to somebody in St. Louis, then you're going to talk to somebody in Michigan, then you're going to talk to somebody in Phoenix, and then
So the
and
chances of getting misinformation are much greater. We give you misinformation, you drive to our office and burn it down.
One of the things that we do analyze is your tax returns and your pay stubs. Tax returns, this is the thing that's kicked in the last couple of years, they're called unreimbursed employee expenses on what's called your Schedule A. If you itemize, and you're legitimately able to take off if you're a blue collar guy and you have your uniforms and your boots and your this and that, you can write that off. That's a legitimate expense. But in the eyes of a lender, that's gonna decrease your income by a certain amount of money. And again, having seen everything over the course of the years, you find, I've had clients where Wells Fargo, B of A, I'm approved. No, you're not. You gave me your tax returns. You didn't give it to them, but you gave it to us. And now, this is the problem. This is why you're not going into, you're having a problem. That's what we do. We're gonna analyze everything up front. No surprises. We do not like surprises. You don't want surprises. You don't want
Absolutely.
surprises.
No way.
We don't want surprises.
And
So
we're gonna,
that's what
if you're
we
not
do.
qualified, we're gonna try and find that way, like Joe said, to push you over the top, like, is there a cosigner? We draw more income here. There's things that we can do to try and get you qualified, so, which are case by case basis.
And also, if you're not qualified, a lot of the big banks, like the big box banks, they're just gonna kick you out and they don't care. Like these guys will put you in like the incubator and make sure like if it takes a few months, if it takes 6 months, if it takes a year, they'll get you to where you need to be. And then I'll get a phone call a year later and I'll be like, hey, remember so-and-so? I'll be like, no. Well, they weren't pre-qualified and now they are. So they'll do those things to get you guys where you need to be. Excuse me.
For these lender guys, how accurate is that pre-approval? Like if you get pre-qualified, say you get pre-qualified for, I don't know, $500,000, whatever it is, how close is that to actually, like is that saying, you know, if you go through with everything, you go through all the steps and everything, you know, everything works out, that's the amount you can get? Or does that vary?
It's 100%
Is it like, now, you know, now with the house, everything, now it's 400,000, now it's a little bit less. So is that pre-qualified?
The only thing that could change, like we're gonna look at your numbers, but the only thing that changes if you change property, addresses. I had one borrower that was looking in one town, and then he went over, and it was like, all right, you're barely qualified, but you're there. Went over to another town, the property taxes were $4,000 more a year. So that added a lot more to their mortgage payment, so they went from being not qualified to qualified.
So that pre-qualification is house specific?
It's,
So-
if you have a specific property, I can give you 100%.
Okay.
Yes. Or if you stay within the boundaries that I'm gonna set for you and say, okay, you're qualified up to X amount of dollars at 6,000 annual property taxes. Yes, 100%. We're not in the business of wasting, no offense, your time, my time, Joe's time, anybody's time.
So if I could piggyback on that, if you have this pre-qualifying, then you make your offer, then you actually apply for the loan.
Correct.
What would be some of the reasons to not have your application denied then?
I mean,
Stop paying your bills.
Yeah, if you're
Lose your
qualified,
job.
Just back to your
I'm
credit.
good to go. I've had two instances. I had one borrower that quit her job 2 days before closing. Guess what? We checked that information right at the closing and they didn't qualify.
Right.
We were able to eventually find a solution for that. She went and begged for a job back. But, you know, at that point, it's on you. Like, if you stop paying your bills, you go lay down your car.
You buy a car, you buy like a BMW, like that happens, right guys?
If
Go
you
run out and buy a car.
Credit card debt, it's gonna
Well,
affect what you qualify
You
for.
should still get
I have
the,
a question. Let's say you have a job currently making X, and you know you get a new job making X plus. Every time you're getting pre-approval, you're getting a hard credit pull. Do I have to get my credit pulled again because I got a better paying job or my job situation?
Not necessarily, no. It's gonna be case by case. We don't want to impact your credit score negatively, and we know what does. So when we sit down with you face to face, we're gonna talk to you individually and say, okay, these are the do's and don'ts. Don't do this, don't do this. Don't run up a bunch of credit card debt. Don't go, I had a client today, hey, we got excited, they're literally in attorney review, and they wanted to go buy a bunch of furniture. We're gonna put $5,000 on a credit card. I said, hold on. Get out of review, get your mortgage approved. Once you're approved and we're like clear to close, then go buy your furniture. You got time, you got 2 months. But they were just so excited, and again, it's an exciting process, I get it, but we're gonna tell you all that right up front. Like, do this, don't do this. Do pay your bills on time, don't open new credit without talking to us. Don't
Right.
stop paying your bills, don't listen to Joe.
But in that window of time, you get a new job making more money. Do I have to come back and another pre-approval because I made 10,000 more than I did last week? Like,
As long as you're in the same line of work,
yeah.
typically that's obviously better. But if you're going from one career to another career,
Right.
that's why what just happened here?
Right.
Were you in school that you now bettered yourself and I did that?
Right.
Or we're gonna look at your income, we're gonna look at the consistency of the income. And again, what Jesse says is, my words, don't. Whatever you think you wanna do, buy, don't. You wanna buy that new car,
That's what I
don't.
say.
Don't. Open that credit card, Kohl's 50% off, don't.
Just don't.
Yeah.
I always say,
You
call me
close-
first, and then I'll
I
run the
don't.
scenario.
Yeah,
It's
I
nicer,
think
I
my
think,
credit
don't.
pull is less than possible.
Correct, you don't want a bunch of hard pulls. They did change that recently. In years past, it was discouraging people from shopping for other lenders. So if you had one person pull your credit, another lender would, you know, maybe you think you could get a better deal. That original person would be, oh, it's gonna negatively impact your score. It's not the case anymore. So it's not gonna negatively impact it as much as you think, but we'll make sure that you're not gonna get, you know, a negative impact by a bunch of hard pulls in a row, especially on our end, and if it's unnecessary.
So what credit score is considered good as opposed to bad?
I mean, if you're below 580 in New Jersey, you're not going to get financed. If you're above 580, we can get you financed. Obviously, you want to get into the higher range. Over 700 is excellent. And anything in the 600 is a very good range. Over 800 is, you know, hardly seen. Those are some of the best scores. You will also see a lot of things with credit monitoring. You see, you know, freecreditreport.com and Credit Karma and all that nonsense. Understand that is just monitoring. That is not your actual credit score. As this gentleman mentioned, and I didn't get your name yet, Mike mentioned, when you do a hard pull, that's a full factual report. That's your actual credit score. You get 3 scores, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And those scores, we take the middle score. So if you're 670, 680, 690, you're a 680 score for lending purposes. You might go on Credit Karma. I had a borrower in my office and say, I'm a 700. And they pulled it up on my computer and showed it to me. I pulled their full factual, and it was 100 points different. So that's very rare. But I will just tell you, don't, when you hear those, you know, Credit Karma and things, and if you're signed up for those things, it's not a bad thing, but don't view that as the be-all, end-all, because you will see a difference sometimes in the scores. Usually it's not that much. It's like 5 to 10 points, but just keep that in the back of your mind.
Going back to that similar question about the jobs, I've had talk to a couple people that like are lenders and different types of credit unions, kind of things like that, and they've asked, like, one of the first things that they ask me is how long have you been at your job?
Okay.
And so I'm at a job now where, you know, it's like not my first real job, but like, you know what I mean, like a career job.
Okay.
And I've been there for almost 2 years, coming right up on 2 years like next month. So they asked me that, and I gave them some information, and they looked at it, and they said, oh, well, it hasn't quite been 2 years, so like, now let's say I may have, you know, in the future, like next, coming up near term, may have an opportunity for a better job, something not exactly the same field like Bob, you mentioned, but similar. So if it, like, let's say I leave this job for a better job, you know,
Sure. It's not going to preclude you from getting
how
it's not
gonna, I don't need to start 2
No,
years again.
it doesn't
before I
have to
go
start
there.
all over 2 years again. Similar lines of work, there's usually ways to tie together. You know, again, we're looking at things, we're bankers, we're not brokers. We're looking at things that make sense. We want to try and get a deal that makes sense, that works. If we can make sense of it to our underwriter, then you're going to get approved.
Can you explain points and if that is something that you guys do?
Sure.
And just fees, general fees, money fees?
Sure. Points is a point on a loan. If you're buying a home and you're taking a $200,000 mortgage, 1 point is $2,000. 1% of your loan. There's a whole bunch of different words that people call it. They call it origination fees. They call it
Discount.
points, discount points, whatever. The bottom line is it's a point, it's a fee, you're going to be charged it. I am anti-point. I don't think they make a lot of sense. Most loans, you look at them and you could use a point to like maybe buy your rate down. Typically, if you're paying 1 point on a loan, it's going to take you almost 5 years to recoup the money that you're saving on that loan. It's very, very rare that paying points make sense. I look at every loan as a unique scenario, and I look at it, paying points doesn't make sense or not. Typically, the answer is no. I didn't really touch on fees with us. We don't charge any origination fees unless you want me to charge you points for a low rate. I'll gladly do that for you, but I'm going to be the first one going, hey, I don't think this makes sense. We don't charge any application fees. I don't collect any of that stuff up front. Some people like to do that, get money, you know, out of your pocket when you first see it. Our goal is this: if we do a good job for you, you're going to stay with us. We give you a fair deal. We're showing you how the whole process and guiding you through it. You're going to stay with us. So as long as you're as committed to us as we are to you, we don't collect any application fees. So points, I don't agree with them.
Can I just interject? For a first-time buyer, often the money is tight. again, 1 point is 1% of the loan. You have to weigh, you have to trade off taking money out of your pocket. What is it, how much is it gonna reduce your rate, and how much is it gonna reduce your monthly payment? And you have to just do the math on it. Like $2,000 might reduce your payment $12, so you gotta do the math. If it drops your payment $60 a month, it all depends on the size of the loan. But again, for a first-time buyer, like Jesse said, points are not, they're not that, no, we'd recommend against it. We also have a thing where we can give you what's called a lender's credit, when money is tight. When money is tight, what we can do is we can build it into the rate and the rate might be a little higher, but we can give you money towards closing costs if the money's tight. That's just another option that's available. Again, what you need to do is just talk to us and say, this, you put all your cards on the table. This is how much money I have. This is how I'm getting a gift. I don't have a gift. You're not taking cash advances on your credit cards, no. Don't. But this is the money that I have. This is where I want to be on my payment. This is what I want to buy. And we'll give you options. We'll give you options just to get you in the house.
Any other questions?
The percentage that you charge for interest, like how do you determine that? You show that it's different for different people.
It's going to vary. As I said, there's hundreds of different mortgage programs. It's going to be based on credit score, a very important factor, and how much you're putting down, and what loan product you're going into, honestly. So those are three things that I hear these advertisements on the radio, which, by the way, they're illegal. The fact that they advertise an interest rate without a specific scenario. But those companies like Quicken, they're so big they can pay the fines. You see banks advertise rates. A rate could totally change based on, everybody's credit score is different, everybody's down payment is different. You take those factors, you put them all in, and that's how you determine what your interest rate is. We're obviously, like I said, we're bankers, we're not brokers, but we're going to try and get you the lowest rate possible because at the end of the day, that's a huge part of your payment. If we give you a low rate, you're going to be happy. And that's what we want.
So if I hear first-time buyer 3.9%, that's not necessarily, that doesn't mean every first-time buyer is getting that 3.9%.
You might find a first-time home buyer program where it's 3.75%. When you hear an advertised rate, rates change every day.
Yeah.
They literally can change every day, depending on what the stock market's doing, what the bond market's doing. Vladimir Putin's rattling a saber again, you'll see rates jump. Oil's doing things, interest rates are going to move. So they literally can change every day. When we sit down and talk to all our clients, when we settle on a program, then we lock your interest rate in. Based on what the market conditions are at that time, we'll look at it and say, okay, you're closing in 60 days. I think the rates are going to get worse. Let's lock your rate in. I had a client a few weeks back. I said, you know what? Rates are up. Janet Yellen's going to be speaking. I think they're going to go down. All indications are, sure enough, got them a quarter point lower in the rate. That's what we do. We look at it all day, every day. I've been doing it 18 years. Bobby's been doing it 25 years. Principals of our company at the same amount of time. So we're experienced in targeting those peaks and valleys, and we look for the valleys for our client when it comes to locking our rate. Anything else? Now that I'm back up here.
You're good, Jesse.
Okay.
All right. So thank you for coming, everyone. We're going to hang out for a little bit and answer any questions you guys have. If you want to speak to any of us, feel free to come up to us. We want to be a resource for you guys. We have, when you came in, I think Louisa took all your contact info. So what we'll do is, if you didn't give us your contact info, please do, and we'll send you an email with all of our information. And when you guys are ready, if you want us, I talked about starting a file. If you want us to start a file for you now, if you want to see what's available in Wall Township between 200 and 300, but you're not ready and you're thinking about, you just want to see what's out there, we'll start that file. We'll get an automatic email drip going for you, and you'll get emails of houses that are hitting the market. If you want to see what's coming up for sale in Oakhurst, in Wanamassa, Asbury Park. Hey, I'm looking for a condo in Asbury Park. What's on the market? We can start these files for you, and then when you have questions, when you want to see something, we can make that happen. So getting started earlier, my advice is just getting started earlier, the better, because even if you don't want to buy anything for a year from now, if you're getting these updates and you're seeing what's coming on the market, you're going to educate yourself on value and price and see what's out there. And you'll be able to recognize deals. People they'll start getting emails, and a month later they'll be like, dude, market's going up, huh? And you educate yourself, you get to see it. So that's it, thanks for coming, and that's it, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers.